Better late than never, everybody. Welcome to the Why Ukraine live stream, coming to you live from Ukraine. Here we are. What day is it today? Wednesday, the 7th of November. And we still have nothing coming from America right now. Yeah. America is abandoning our democracy. That's what's happening. That's what's happening. If you want to know the news, that's the real news. Okay? Everything else is just other stuff that's going on, to be perfectly honest. America has decided that the values that, the forefathers fought for don't matter anymore. Hey, Salt of the Red Earth, I saw that your name is Zach. Is that right? Because it's interesting sometimes how in the streams your name comes up differently than on YouTube. I guess it's kind of an interesting thing. Like sometimes when I'm commenting on other people's live streams or in the comment section on other YouTube videos, it comes up as Why Ukraine, and sometimes it comes up as American in Ukraine. And I never understand which one it's going to be. Anyway, thanks for coming if you're here. We have a lot to talk about. We have a lot of good news, but it's small good news. It's not big good news. The news is that Donald Trump and the Republicans are holding back aid for Ukraine. That's the news. Over and over and over and over and over. I can't repeat it enough. I can't. Yeah. So, but I want to thank you for coming. If you haven't checked on this page lately, I do keep it's not like up to the minute, up to date, but at least on a weekly basis, I try to update all of the things that we're sending out from the Why Ukraine Shopify page. And I need to update some of this stuff too, but we'll get into this. If you'd like to donate to help Ukraine, there's lots of ways to do it. But one way is you can donate directly to the 4th Training Battalion of the International Legion, or the Alpha Company of the 1st Battalion of the International Legion. This goes directly to help Americans who are fighting for freedom and democracy in Ukraine. And you can also support the channel here by buying these collectible magnets from Ukraine, which they are in limited supply. These are all collector's editions. They're not unlimited, I can tell you. But I send these out myself. I like this one. This one is my favorite one. I have about 10 of these, and I honestly, it's based on the stamp. There's a limited edition stamp, but this is a magnet. It's about I'm going to say 3 inches by 3 inches, roughly speaking. Yeah, sounds about right. And it's pretty awesome. I like it. Okay, let's get into the news, guys. So we all know crazy town stuff is happening in Avdiivka. We know that. I think if you are watching, the reports, you know this. Okay. Avdiivka down here, this is the big... Oh, wait. Where am I? Come on, Avdiivka. There we go. Avdiivka. This is where the big critical attack is happening. But they're attacking on all fronts all the time. Yes, it's sad that Ukraine is losing, that we are losing this particular little town. But look at this little town. How many thousands and thousands of orcs had to die? Aha, Zach. Okay. Like Gulag Zach. Okay. Well, thanks for coming, everybody. I'm glad you're all here. Really. Listen, I'll just be honest with you. I need to get to the thing that's really freaking me out, that's scaring the shit out of me right now. Okay, and it's not Avdiivka. All right. Really. It's this picture right here. Now, this was sent to me by my commander. The sergeant in charge of distribution of like uniforms and supplies and everything to the volunteer fighters in the International Legion. And I'm gonna give you some updates about that as well. What you're seeing here, these are the guys wearing the coats, the waterproof, rainproofed clothes that some of you actually paid for and provided. Hey, Tony. Thanks for coming. Yeah. And so I'm like, I literally, this like brought me to tears last night because I didn't think anybody cared about this. They're just, it's secondhand coats, really. In total, we sent 31 coats this most recent shipment. The shipment before, God, I can't remember how many coats we sent and some other clothes. In total, up to this point, there was $137 contributed for secondhand military gear and rain gear. Okay. So it was a lot. You guys contributed a lot. But here's the problem. Here's what's freaking me out. Here's why I am fucked up. These coats are not supposed to, they were never intended to go to troops going out to the front. And I seriously hope that this is not, that this picture here, I have to hope that this is not the picture of the entire company of soldiers who are going out to the front. But the point is, these coats were intended for people who are going into training, because they have a month of training, or they should have a month of training before they go out to the front lines. And these coats, they have to be out in the rain the whole time, because they're training outside, and they may not even have their actual uniforms yet, because it takes a while for those to come in. Those are all donations as well. The International Legion relies entirely on donations. Okay. These were intended so they have something to wear before they go out to the front. They can tear that shit to pieces in training, and then they can save their good uniforms for when they get out there in the real deal. These guys are headed out to the front line any day now. Ronnie, thank you for your encouraging words, actually. I hope you're right. Tony, thank you. Wait, did you order some socks for yourself? You need socks too, right? Yeah, 5:20 a.m. Yeah. It's 6:20 here. I woke up at 5. I normally wake up at 4 or 4:30 a.m. here to do these live streams, and I just couldn't sleep last night because of this. Because of this. Okay? These guys should not be, if they're going to the front wearing these coats, it means that they haven't gotten regular uniforms. So the other donations that were supposed to come in haven't come in. And that's scaring the crap out of me. Okay? That means that, I mean, we've known, I mean, Greg Terry has talked about the number of charities, NGOs, whatever you want to say. There were, at the beginning of the war, the first year of the war, there were hundreds, thousands of these little NGOs popping up everywhere. They're drying up. It's drying up. I mean, so I'm sitting right here in front of me. I've got 18 coats I just purchased this week, secondhand coats, just like the ones you see in this picture. Okay, a lot of them are already waterproofed. The rest I'm gonna spray down and do all that with the waterproofing and everything. But it's like more critical than ever now. I'm like, what the hell? This should not be, and it's scary to me. And you know, the NAFO guys, 69th Stiffing Brigade, we're talking about this as well. I'll play it for you here.
As a rule, we use Russian trophy ammunition, armor-piercing ammunition.
Okay,
The Russians arm
they use. This is the 36th Separate Marine Brigade. Okay, well, I like their patch. That's cool, little Viking warship. But he says the Russians arm their assault
units with armor-piercing ammunition, not 7M ton. They can pierce almost any armor west. That's
so these will go through, most armor. I don't know about a American level 4 armor, but there we
why
are.
we take their ammunition during assault and use it against them.
Right. So why are they doing that? Why are they using captured ammunition instead of the ammunition that's given to them by the Ukrainian army? Let's find out.
For those NATO aid rounds, those 5.56 rounds with steel core ammunition are probably not given to us.
Right. So they're not getting standard NATO rounds. They're getting 5.56 rounds, but they're not the armor-piercing green tips. Those are extremely rare. It's my understanding. Those are extremely rare. Tony, you tell me if you saw any green tip 5.56. Okay. They're not coming.
Because of the convention. Unfortunately, we don't use them in combat conditions for this very reason. Because the ones we have a elite core.
Right. So what he's saying here is the 5.56 that they have, it's lead core, it's not armor piercing, and it's crap.
And are weaker, unfortunately. There are very few correct rounds. Even my service pistol has trophy ammunition because it has a steel core.
So you understand the difference between lead core and steel core. Steel, it's harder metal. It's going to penetrate more.
The Russians use tungsten.
The Russians use tungsten, which is an even harder metal than steel, heavier metal than steel as well, usually. So tungsten core ammunition.
Cord ammunition, and they can easily penetrate 4 or 5 grade body.
Right. So that stuff will go through even, like a level 4 plate, something like this. Or like that, So, I mean, I had thought, okay. Thank you, Zach, if you don't mind me calling you that. Thanks. I'm going to make another purchase of rain gear slash military gear on Sunday, because that's the day when it's the cheapest, basically. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense, Tony. So you would use your armor piercing as a sniper. I would hope so, you know. But I was under the impression that, yeah, okay, they didn't. Our troops on the front line, maybe they didn't have enough artillery rounds, okay. But I've been under the impression that they had plenty of bullets, and now I'm seeing that no, we're running out of that too. So, all right, I'm gonna try not to get all stressed. I'm drink some water. Everything's fine. I'm fine. It's bad for my heart or something. All right, let's move on. So yeah. Where do I want to start? Oh, I said I was gonna, reduce my stress. I apologize. I'm not gonna stop bringing this up, but I'm glad to see we have the word stealing Ukraine's children. Okay, abduction. 700,000 children abducted. So this is an article about accountability. Okay, accountability for that, and where is that accountability? Yeah. I mean, ultimately, yeah. So this Lvova Belova person and Vladimir Putin, they're declared war criminals, but a lot more people were involved than just those two. Okay, months and months of planning went into this before the war. There's no way they could have. Yeah, Nomos, how the fuck does NATO run out of bullets to send? They are. Thanks, Max. How the fuck does NATO run out of bullets to send? The situation is they're not sending NATO rounds. They're refusing to send NATO rounds. Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. It will take another big disaster to get back in the news big. Yeah, if it bleeds, it leads, right? So this slow drip here in Ukraine, and it's not slow, it's 1,000 orcs a day, and I mean, but it's become the new, the new normal. So we need some big, I hate it. We need something big to happen for Americans to pay attention in general. Criminal gangs grab children from schools and playing fields and then turn the children over to Russian authorities in exchange for money. And now it makes sense because this has been going on since 2014 in Crimea. I did not know about this. That's new to me. They've been doing this in Crimea since 2014 to Ukrainians in Crimea, Ukrainian children. Orphanages, children's hospitals, maternity wards, and all of that has been just ignored or brushed under the rug, or just, because there's no free media in Russia. And I guess nobody's been reporting on that. So they've gotten away with it. That's how they had this preparation. That's been my question this whole time. Yeah. Yeah, Trump says presidents get to do whatever they want. Time for Biden to send SEAL Team 6. Well, I think what's going to need to happen, guys, is Biden needs to. I hope that NATO is training a lot of SEAL Team 6s to massively airdrop into Russia or whatever it is and take over the nukes. Because when that house of cards falls, that's going to be the most critical thing that they need to get to as fast as possible, you know. So that's how it was happening with the abduction of children. They were practicing in Crimea for years and years and years, you know, for 7-8 years, and then they just moved that right up into Kherson and Zaporizhia. So that's been my question this whole time. Like, how do they implement that? You know. So now we know. But as far as actual accountability, there is none. There is none. You know. And you know, fears grow over re-education of Ukrainian children. Like, this is in The Guardian, okay? I mean, this should be like constant. This should be the big thing that's constantly in the news. Why isn't fucker Carlson, you know, talking about this? Yeah, China's looking to get free nukes. You know, I have a conspiracy theory to share with you. Yeah. USA is just scared the nukes can get nicked by terrorist organizations. That's all they care about. Yeah, and I mean, you know, they need to be ready. Be ready, because when this house of cards falls, you know, USA or NATO, whatever, needs to step in and get those nukes under control as fast as possible. But okay, so I'm going to share a conspiracy theory with you. All right. It's my personal. Let's not call it a theory. Let's call it a fantasy. Okay. And it's this. This is my fantasy. I'm gonna. Oh shit! Hang on. Sorry, my microphone. Okay, let me check and make sure my microphone is working. Can you guys hear me? Okay. All right. Biden summit. Okay. Here's my fantasy. Xi and Biden had this, you know, this summit in San Francisco, and we all said, like, why? Why is she being allowed to come to San Francisco and being given like the royal treatment? Okay. All right. So here's my fantasy. Yeah. China wants to take Taiwan. Okay, right? China wants to take Taiwan. So let's look at geopolitics here for just a second. I'm going to pull a Jonathan M.S. Pierce on you, maybe. Okay. Taiwan is down here, and yeah, Taiwan's an important place, and China wants it. But what if Biden said, hey, listen, Xi, I know you want Taiwan, but what if instead, we let you take Vladivostok. I know I've been talking about Vladivostok a lot lately. What if we let you take back these parts of China up here? These parts that used to be China, right? 19th century China map. Let's take a look. Here we go. Manchuria. Yeah. This was after the Taiping Rebellion, the worst war. And the Russian Empire took over these areas. So let's see if we can. How do I go back? What the heck? Come on, map. Yeah. So before what they call the Century of Humiliation, China controlled this whole area all the way up here. So if we look on the map here, it's this whole area right here. Okay. What if Biden said, hey, listen, Xi, just wait until, I know, wait until the time is right, okay? And when the Russian house of cards is about to fall, you guys just jump in over here. I mean, if you look at the land, this has been remarked upon by others, but if you looked at the land usage, okay, on the China side, it's very heavy. And on the Russian side, there's nobody there. Okay? Perfect example. Russia's on the top of the map, China's on the bottom of the map. Okay? China wants this land. What if they made a deal? That's my fantasy. Trying to feel good about something, guys. Let me have it. Let me have it. Okay. Give me just a second. I have, sitting right over here, I have some herbal tea. I'm going to drink herbal tea and not caffeine. I think maybe I've had enough caffeine for the day. Yeah. Because, you know, what's happening right now is it's not just about the abductions of children. They're actively, all right, herbal tea, James. Yeah. They're actively forcing Ukrainians in places in the Zaporizhia and Kherson and Donetsk and Luhansk occupied areas, forcing them to go to the front, you know, to the meat grinder to die. And then what they plan to do is a mass resettlement of the occupied part of Ukraine under the code name Zaporizhia Virgin Land, which it's not. Clearly not. I mean, it's just a, you know, trying to give the impression that it's not land soaked in blood of sacrificed Ukrainians. And, you know, the weather in southern Ukraine is obviously better than some far north Siberia, Kazakhstan, wherever. And they're like, look, you can have a free house. It's just for you. Not thinking about well, I'm sure they are. I mean, the Russians know, even the Russian citizens, they know that these free houses that they're getting are, you know, they used to, another family used to live there, and that family was kicked out for them. The same thing happened in Crimea. They did the exact same thing in Crimea. They kicked out the Crimean Tatars, forced them to leave their homes, And I mean, I'm not just talking about in the 20th century, they did that too. No, I mean, since the most recent occupation of Crimea, they forced the Crimean Tatars out of their homes and gave those homes to Russians. Okay, for 8 years. So that's what they're planning. The opposition of Ukrainians, the eviction of Ukrainians. This is a bad translation, guys. The eviction of Ukrainians to make room for their own, and basically Russia has shitty infrastructure and it's not a nice place to live. So all of these people are going to be real happy to move to Ukraine because it's better in Ukraine. All right. So this is what's happening. And here we go. They're forcing. Now, this of course, in the news here, people are really angry about this because there's a history. Okay, but essentially, they forced 20 ex-law enforcement officers from Mariupol to begin serving as police officers in Mariupol now. Okay. Now, if you look at this picture of these guys, most of them, they don't look, I mean, maybe some of them are happy. Maybe some of them are pro-Russian, but, I doubt all of them. But now they are traitors. They are traitors to their own people. Okay. And I mean, they're probably just glad that they're not being sent to the front lines, to the meat grinders. And they were probably like, well, better this than the alternative. You can't see their faces, all right, but I don't think they're smiling. Okay. Not that Russians smile. They don't really do that. Not in public, anyway. Okay. This is going to be a long-term conflict in Ukrainian society. What the Russians are doing. Oh, thank you, Catherine. Thanks for giving me a like. Yeah. Yeah, they are already moving Russians in. That's right, Mitch. They are. Yeah. But this, okay, here's some real good news. All right. This is amazing. Okay. Ukrainian special forces interrogate Wagner mercenaries in Sudan. Like, wow. Okay. Holy crap. Now, these guys, they don't look Russian. Maybe the guy on the left, he might be Russian. I mean, they might be a part of Wagner, but they're not. Yeah. Yeah, no, Ronnie, you're right. 30% of people in the nearly occupied territories that are waiting for the Russians. Yeah, I think most of them have found out. They found out what it's really like, because I mean, we saw people, Ronnie, in Bakhmut who were obviously sticking around because they thought the Russians were going to save them. And, and some of those occupied villages that were occupied and then liberated. And they might have been pro-Russian before the Russians came, but not afterwards. But yeah, I mean, there are still, we could go back to this particular issue here. There are still infiltrations. So this says 5 Russian spies found working in the Ukrainian Secret Service. Okay. So that's the article down here. Yeah. So this is constant. They're constantly having to root out these people. 5 Ukrainian intelligence officers secretly working for Russia as part of a powerful spy ring that has been arrested. What that means is that there are more. Oh, hey, Tony. Thanks for working, man. You're amazing. Yeah, dude. Have an awesome day, and I'll talk to you later, dude. Hopefully, I'll have some good news for Tony. Still trying. I have part of his money for traveling that I'm still trying to transfer to him, because transferring money out of Ukraine is extremely difficult. He has a Ukrainian bank card, and I have a Ukrainian bank card, but there's so many restrictions on sending money outside of Ukraine. And especially if you're not a Ukrainian citizen, you can get a Ukrainian bank account, but you can't do anything with it. It's really frustrating. And I know what they're trying to do. They're trying to fight corruption. Okay. That's the issue. They're trying to fight corruption. The problem is these laws, the real corrupt people, they have ways of getting around this crap. And all it really hurts is small people. But that's true. That's true in America too. In every country is yeah. Tony's pretty awesome. He's getting ready to come here to fight, and he's working his ass off to save up money to be able, because he doesn't want just us paying for everything. That's amazing. But anyway, don't worry. We're gonna get the rest of the money to Tony this week. The worst come to worst, I'll hand it to him when he physically gets here. But I want him to have it when he's traveling through Poland and stuff. That's the most important thing. Because all of the tickets and his hotel, they're all paid for. But you always need a little extra just in case things go wrong. That's the real deal. So anyway, there's they're fighting corruption here in Ukraine. That's great. They're fighting against that Russian influence. This is an interesting thing here, because previously the corruption cases we've heard about have been with regards to the military, Shills, that sort of things. But this is about repair of buildings. Kind of something that's damaged by Russia, but something that's a little bit far from the war. And utility company Zhitlo Investbud. And they signed contracts, and what happened? I guess they didn't do the work. During the construction, due to negligence and insufficient control, improper materials were used. Wow. Okay, that's pretty minor. I didn't read down this far in the article. When I read it, I was like, oh, they probably just didn't do the work. No, they did the work. They just used the wrong materials. Oh my God. That's really, okay, so Ukraine is taking corruption seriously, guys. My God. Okay. But the arms of Russian influence are still stretching out. So this is from a couple of days ago, but I think this is really, really important. Okay. So Georgia says it seized Russia-bound cargo of explosives sent from Ukraine. Yeah, like China. Yeah, a little bit. Ronnie, talking about construction work. You can find low-quality construction work anywhere, and they have inspectors here. They have all of that stuff. Zoning laws, what have you, here. But corruption does take place and people get paid off sometimes. Anyway, so all right, so Georgia. Everybody knows Georgia, not the state of Georgia, the country of Georgia. Okay, it's right here. Yeah. Now, just in case you weren't aware, Russia controls about 20% of Georgia. Okay, and arguably, they also control the government of Georgia to a degree. Okay, and this this situation kind of shows it. So the people of Georgia heavily support Ukraine, but Georgia, you know, it was on its way to possibly even becoming an EU member, and that is not happening anymore because they've got a Russian-backed oligarchs in power, and they are pretty much anti-Ukraine. So this was a shipment of explosives bound for the Russian city of Voronezh. I mean, okay, yeah, legally, this shouldn't be traveling through the border of Georgia into Russia. Do you know how, God, Georgia is one of the main contributors to Russia's economy. They are Georgia and like Kazakhstan. Okay, so you got Georgia, Azerbaijan, and then and then Kazakhstan. Okay, this is the big leaky sieve where all of the illegal sanctioned goods are coming in. And if you check out some pictures of the Georgia border, it's just lines of trucks headed into Russia full of everything, you know, all kinds of illegal shit that Russia shouldn't be getting. And this is the stuff they should be letting through. So the explosives were hidden in a cargo of car batteries that entered Georgia in January from Ukraine. So these were going to be used to blow up something in Russia by Ukrainian secret agents. Yeah. And Georgia's stopping it. All right. Let's move on. Let's talk about some, you know, the internal political developments here in Ukraine. Okay. And the big debate that's going on right now, which is mobilization, by which we mean the draft, conscription. They call it mobilization. Lots and lots and lots of articles on that. The two big things, and they are connected to each other, by the way. First of all, Zaluzhny, which I want to emphasize has not actually happened yet. Has not actually happened. And I had a big thing about it last week. I understand. I understand that you know, a lot of people support Zaluzhny. A lot of Ukrainians support Zaluzhny. A lot of soldiers support Zaluzhny. I like Zaluzhny. I think he's great, but I think that Zelensky is also right when he says, let's see if I can find it. Yeah, here we go. No, that's not what I want. No. Okay. Apparently I don't have the article. I think Zelensky is also right when he says we need a full reset of the military command. And a lot of things, but the military command. Okay? And Zaluzhny is included in that. I hope that he stays, actually. What would be great would be if all the corrupt commanders and inept commanders under him, you know, the whole entire pyramid were, I think, dismissed en masse would be entirely wrong, but retrained, re-examined, filtered. And I know that that has been happening to a degree, but like the SBU has been weeding out the most corrupt commanders. But I've talked about this before. We know it's still happening. I know it's still happening. Okay. But so this is connected to the mobilization debate. You know, so the debate that's happening right now in Ukraine, what it's really coming down, and I think it's coming down to they're talking about the wrong things collectively, the public, but this is the debate. The rule on demobilization after 36 months. That's what they're looking for. So people recognize that we need to have more soldiers in the army. They recognize that the soldiers who have been fighting on the front line, many of them have been fighting since the war began with no break, absolutely no break, just constant, and they are worn out. Okay. But the people who are not in the army, they're not in the army because A, they don't want to be, but second of all, they're like, yeah, if I join the army, I'll never get out either. I'll just be fighting forever. And so people want some sort of a guarantee that after a certain period of time, they'll be rotated out. But so this is the risk. Like it's like a catch-22 kind of a situation, But this is the debate that's going on within Ukrainian society, and on top of that, people are looking at the command structure of the Ukrainian army, and they're saying, hey, we've got these corrupt commanders. What happens if this decision to rotate me out is left up to my commander, and my commander is corrupt, and he doesn't let me out when he's supposed to? Okay, but at the same time, they don't want to lose Zaluzhny. They want Zaluzhny to stay. So they don't want changes. They do want changes. I mean, this is part of being in a democratic society. Okay, and things get negotiated. But it's the thing to know is that it's being negotiated. But like all of society is talking about this, right? And I mean, and then the other big thing is the rich oligarchs, rich people. Here we go. This is one of the big debates. The law on demobilization, how not to limit the rights of those with limited fitness of service. So some people, okay, illnesses, for various reasons, people should not be serving. People in going to school and university, but also the proposal that Zelensky proposed is that you're rich. If you're rich, now this is actually, everyone says it here in Ukraine, okay, which is, yeah, rich. There's another law for rich people, and rich people don't, they can use corruption. They can bribe someone so that they don't have to go to war. Okay, but Zelensky has been making the point, or Zelensky's administration perhaps, that actually we need people who have money to support the economy, right? So yeah, you should be able to, if you have money, maybe to buy your way out. It's this debate that's going on. Let's see, as this on Jonathan, right? Let's see. So let's talk. There is a way do that, change over, and still be effective. The soldiers coming out still do support work for the army from home 2 to 3 days a week. See, that's great. That's the kind of alternative thinking that we need, exactly like that. In my mind, and I've said this before, what we need, and let me tell you, this is, I just want to bring up this. Oh yeah, here we go, right here. This is a good. This is progress. Yeah, Zelensky signs off decree to create unmanned systems forces. Okay. So a completely separate branch of the forces, unmanned system forces. Now, we could argue about that they need to be integrated into, but whatever. I hope that they continue to be integrated into all of the existing forces. But I think that this is also going to potentially solve the problem of mobilization, of conscription. And let me explain how. Okay. Ukraine should have a massive army of drones out here on the front lines. But those soldiers, if Ukraine had a proper last mile wireless mesh network, remember I'm a network and systems engineer. If we had a proper network on the front line, okay, I'm not talking about Starlink. I'm not talking about Starlink here. I'm talking about hundreds of thousands of antennas mounted on every fucking tree, and mobile electronic warfare systems is essentially what we're talking about. And I know these things cost a lot of money. They don't have to. They can be built really cheap. But just a total mesh of network on the front line is what we need. Ukraine has the infrastructure, the internet infrastructure, okay, to provide internet directly to the front line without Starlink. It just the hard part is this last, we call it the last mile. It's really the last 10 or 15 miles, okay? And Russia is doing everything it can to, that's, one of the first big targets is any source of, radio communication, internet communication, any of that. That's going to be targeted by artillery very quickly, But luckily the antennas are cheap and we can just keep on replacing them. And then under those circumstances, a Ukrainian could sit comfortably on his sofa in Kyiv and fly drones all day. Yeah, the antenna's like the cheapest thing. Okay, it is really the cheapest thing, and a cheap, it's. I've set them up. I set them up all over the United States. All over the United States, all over the southwestern United States, from Albuquerque to the Grand Canyon, that whole area. Okay. The longest wireless, the longest Wi-Fi, like actual Wi-Fi, 802.11 Wi-Fi connection that I set up in America was 150 miles. I'm sorry, 150 kilometers. I'm getting my miles and kilometers mixed up. 96 miles, to be precise. So I think that's 145 kilometers. Okay. So yeah, you could have antennas set up way back here out of artillery range, and lots of them. And that's all connected through the network, and people can sit in their homes comfortably on their sofas in Lviv or wherever and fly those drones. And that's what I'm hoping this is leading to. That's what I'm hoping. It's going to take some time to implement, but that is something that Ukraine can implement, okay, that that Russia cannot, because Russia does not have that kind of internet infrastructure in these areas. Okay, it doesn't have it. It's either been destroyed, or in many cases it's still controlled by the cellular internet companies, the Ukrainian ones, so the Russians rely on Ukrainian internet too. Yeah, so that's a big deal. All right. And this debate just, I mean, the question is, if Zelensky, well, not if, but when Zelensky kicks Zaluzhny, we can't look at that and say, oh, Ukraine is just a unstable banana republic, and Zelensky's just giving Zaluzhny the boot because he's afraid Zaluzhny will become president. I've heard that. Okay, that's not the situation. Zaluzhny, is right, and he's saying that Ukraine must introduce a new philosophy, and it accounts for limits in assets. And I'm looking at the situation with these coats, and I'm saying, yeah, that has relevance to me. That has relevance to me, because we have to recognize here that we can't count on, right now, America is all freaked out about this. And what's going to happen when Donald Trump, in the middle of the election season, Donald Trump goes to jail? You think America is distracted right now about Ukraine? You think they're not caring enough about Ukraine now? When Donald Trump goes to jail, probably this summer or something, and he's trying to campaign from in jail, this whole border situation that we're talking about, which this $60 billion is basically just dead, not going to happen, and this funding is not going to happen until Mike Johnson, Moscow MAGA Mike Johnson, is out. Okay, I mean, they're impeaching a guy that they can't even impeach. I mean, it's like spitting on a fish. I use that phrase too much these days, but it fits. They can impeach this guy. I mean, it failed, but it was just a stupid political stunt that they're doing. So I don't see an end in sight for this situation. In other words, I don't see money coming from America. And Ronnie, I think you were right earlier when you said that something really big is going to have to happen here in Ukraine to make people in America care. And then when it happens, it'll be for 15 minutes. I'm here. I'm doing what I can. That's all I can do. This is very concerning. Okay, so this is an article from Foreign Affairs, and I'm not going to get into it. Okay, I've said over and over that Ukraine is learning and adapting, has been learning and adapting faster than the Russians, but that is now questionable. It's questionable. Okay, and that's a big reason why this is happening. Okay, why Zelensky's trying to create a separate organization that can focus on that adaptation, because there's a stark contrast between, for example, the IT culture of Ukraine, which is highly adaptable. It's a lot, kind of a mini Silicon Valley, versus the stodgy old Soviet structure that Zaluzhny has to deal with in the military. And for whatever reason, Russia's military, they're just innovation, particularly with regards to drones, but I think also just due to resources. The Russians have more and better equipment. We talked about that earlier. They've got the tungsten, you know, they've got the armor piercing bullets. They've got all the things they need to be able to innovate. So we have to start thinking new. We have to start thinking different. If that means using secondhand coats, yeah, first drone army in the world. Yeah, real actual drone army. Yeah, I think it's amazing. I think it's great. Really, Cheryl, what's the name? This Ukrainian drama series. So Cheryl says she's watching a Ukrainian drama series and learning new vocabulary. What's the name of it? If you wouldn't mind sharing it with us, I'd love to know. Okay. I'm kind of jumping around a little bit here. I had an order of things that I was going to talk in, and now I'm losing my order. Okay. So this is related to. So I think that Zelensky is getting ready for a bit. I think part of the reason is to cover the Zaluzhny dismissal that's coming, but I think he's getting ready for a big flush out of government, of the Ukrainian government. The Ukrainian president, unlike, for example, in America, governors are elected. In Ukraine and in Russia as well, governors are appointed. So the states, there's not the concept of states' rights quite as much, because everything comes from the central federal government. Now, the quote unquote states, they call them oblasts here, are in general quite a bit smaller than states in America would be, for example. But America is somewhat unique in having this idea that states should have more rights than the central federal government. But be that as it may, whatever you want to say about that theory, that system of government, I don't like it. I think that oblasts should elect their own governors, but whatever. Anyway, the point is there has been a lot of problems with corruption on the part of many of those governors, because they were appointed by previous corrupt administrations like Yanukovych, people like that. So this dude, particularly in Zaporizhia, the government administration, more than half of Zaporizhia Zaporizhia Oblast is occupied. So anyway, the mayor of Melitopol, remember, Melitopol is under, yeah, I mean, a little bit. I'm learning, Susan, too, about the Ukrainian government, piece by piece, step by step. So anyway, this dude, he was awesome. Melitopol is an occupied, God, he looks so much older than he did 2 years ago. Melitopol is occupied now. This is the mayor. He was detained by the Russians and held hostage for 3 days or a week or something. Nobody knew where he was. He managed to get away, and he's still been acting as mayor of the occupied city of Melitopol. Well, now he's been appointed the governor of Zaporizhia, the partially occupied oblast of Zaporizhia. So this is a good thing, but then the flip side, the bad side of this is this okay, Love in Chains, set in 1860s serfdom times in Chernihiv Oblast. Wow. Damn, Cheryl. That's cool. Okay. Hold that thought. I'm going to Google that in a minute. Okay. But yeah, so, all right. So that this is a good thing. But then the flip side of that is this ultimately a recognition of the fact that Melitopol is not going to be deoccupied anytime soon? Right. So that's the bad side. That's the, I mean, yeah. I think, you know, we have to have that recognition now. I want to talk about this. I wanted to talk about it yesterday. And this is a really complex article. It's a complex topic. This is talking about the changes within Ukrainian society and economics. So Pavlo Sheremeta, that's Pavlo means Paul, yeah. And he's I brought this up yesterday. So he's the former Minister of Economic Development of Ukraine and the Kyiv Mohyla Business School. I know a lot of people who are teachers and professors there, or have been in the past and went there and all that. It's the number one economic business school, the most progressive, arguably most progressive school of economics. Economics is a big study here in Ukraine. I know so many people who are like have degrees in economics here, and it's very interesting. I mean, I think part of the reason was they're actively learning about capitalism for the past 30 years, you know, whereas they needed to get degrees in it. But yeah, so this is an important point. All right, this right here. The state does not owe you a pension if you have worked in the private sector all your life. Now, to us as Americans, that's an obvious statement. But that is a really hard thing for, let's say, any Ukrainian over 45 years of age to swallow. Because in the Soviet Union, everybody had a pension. And then those pensions disappeared when the money for those pensions, so all of the investment money disappeared. It was stolen in many cases. Okay, so people, what pensions they do have, it's like $100 a month, you know, $200 a month. Wait, Greg Terry experience? Is Greg Terry here? That would be awesome if he popped into my stream. Whoa, Greg is here. Holy shit. Wow. All right, man. We're here. Thanks, Greg. Thanks for popping in. I'm sorry, my live stream is never as exciting as yours is. Never. Wow. All right. I got to up my game now. I know Greg Terry's here. But so this is a real discussion that is happening in Ukrainian society that needs to happen. And I mean, it's all related. It's related to the mobilization. I recommend everybody, you know, take a look at, read this article. Okay. You know, he makes a really important point right here. Okay. He says, when we talk about mobilizing people, we should also talk about mobilizing money. The instrument of such mobilization is savings, and savings in Ukrainian has a different meaning than in English. So what he's really talking about here is changing over to a true war economy, like America had in World War II. That's what he's talking about. He's talking about, I mean, Ukrainians have victory gardens out in the oblasts, but really people in the cities need to have that. They need to be, thinking in those terms. And a lot of Ukrainians, especially in the big cities, in Lviv and in Kyiv, are not thinking that way. And a lot of, especially older people, are still thinking. People get a job in Ukraine and they expect they're going to have that job the rest of their life. That's really what it comes down to. And that is changing, radically changing. This comes back to this article here about IT. So IT in Ukraine was previously the most stable job you could get in the modern economy, at least. You were guaranteed that at least 5 years, 10 years, same job, same place, same people. And now that I had this discussion with some of my students yesterday or the day before, like telling them, yeah, no, IT tech in America, it's not stable work. Tech is up and down and up and down. And so, these are serious questions that have to be addressed. And so it's just important to understand that Ukraine socially is going through a lot of debate, a lot of questions regarding to the mobilization, regarding with the reorganization of the military. It's all happening all at once. Wow. Thanks, Greg. You enjoy listening? I'm honored. You missed the part about me freaking out about coats and jackets. You'll have to go back and listen to it because I emotionally can't go back to it now. But it's a serious situation, man. Yeah. So I'm kind of wrapping up now. I want to talk about just a couple of little news items. The big one, to me, okay, because I used to work at NASA, and this pisses me off. All right. Ex-Russian military officer joins NASA for ISS mission. He's not just, first of all, he was not an astronaut previously at all. Okay. There's a distinct possibility that he actually fought in Ukraine and bombed Ukrainians and Ukrainian civilians. Okay. And now he is on the ISS. Like what? Or he's going to be on the ISS. Set to travel to the International Space Station as part of the NASA team. Alexander Gerbenkin. What? February 22nd is when he's supposed to go up there. What? The Russians are actively sabotaging the International Space Station, people. If you guys didn't know that, yes, that's what they're doing. Okay. In 2022, they sent up a module, added a module, the newest module onto the International Space Station, and it immediately caused the International Space Station to rotate like 172 degrees. Basically started spinning out of control. Okay, there was a hole drilled into the wall of the space station, and they found out that it had been drilled. We're talking about inside a different Russian module, and it was expelling air from the space station out into outer space. The Russians tried to hide it and tried to say that Americans had done it to sabotage. Why are we letting these guys? Why? Listen, I know that calling your senator and your congressman to get funding is more important, but somebody needs to talk to NASA and say, what the hell? Don't let this guy up there. He's literally, he's okay. No space flight experience. Before joining the cosmonaut detachment, served in technical and operational units in the Russian Air Force as a commissioned military officer. This is how you get international space stations falling from the sky in a fiery disaster blast. Like, appointed head of the group in technical operation 2015. Aviation equipment display center, blah, 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 blah. Distinction he has received medals for distinction in military service. I mean, dudes, this you know, this makes me angry. Yeah. All right. I don't want to talk about Mike Pompeo. Don't get me started. How can he be doing this? He's on the board of directors or something like that for Kyivstar, I guess. Okay. He says, I came here to support the workforce at Kyivstar. Okay. What is he? He's like CEO or something. I understand what Ukraine is trying to do. They're trying to get these Trump allies on the side of Ukraine, and money talks. That's what they're trying to do. So the idea is, hey, if we get Mike Pompeo to start supporting Ukraine, then maybe we can get Trump. That's not going to work. That's not going to happen. Not even close. Because this guy, the guy on the right here, how much of Trump's property does Pyotr own? That's what I want to know. Actually, how much? How much of the Trump organization is owned by FSB agents? Russian operatives. Wait a minute, are you seriously? The new movie ISS is about the Russians and Americans on the space station, and they both have orders to take the other side out to control the station. Oh, really? There's a fucking movie? Jesus. Wow. Yeah, Scott Kelly is awesome. Yeah, Scott Kelly for president. Hell yeah. Yeah. All right. So this is, I think this is going to be the last of my news here. This is, God, everything's pissing me off today. So, war criminal, Pyotr, should be arrested. Okay. Every country in the world, he should be arrested. And he's going to Turkey. He's going to Turkey. Why? Why? NATO member, Turkey. Okay. Now, what I would like you to tell me is it's a trap. He's going to go to Turkey and he'll be arrested. That's what I want you to tell me. That's what I want to happen, obviously. But that's clearly not what's happening. Experts do not rule out that Ukraine will also be on the agenda. Okay, keep in mind I'm translating this, or this is a translation on the Ukrainian website here. So when is this happening? February 12th. First time visiting Turkey since the war began. why is this allowed to happen? How is this allowed to happen? How long before Turkey and Orban, Erdogan, Orban, and I don't know, maybe Serbia, and Slovakia, how long before they just flip? They just flip. Turkey is super, super low. They're one of the lowest in terms of NATO countries, in terms of their donations to Ukraine. They're at the bottom, which is saying something. They're even below the United States right now. I can still arrest him, Cheryl. You're right. Let me go to Turkey right now. Okay. You know what? What'll make me feel better today? You guys know that I am planning to go back to the International Legion. I have, why have I not done so? Because I need to be able to do 4 pull-ups. That's why. Honestly, that's why. Okay. At the beginning of December, end of November, I could barely hold up my cell phone with this hand. So I've come a long way. I'm pulling 80 kilograms, and I can hang from a bar. But right now, when I try to I can feel it in my wrist. I'm having to, the progress is slower than I would like. Part of the problem is that I couldn't find a goddamn gym in this town. It's like a resort town for like old people. There's no gymnasiums. I've been here on and off for almost a year. Heroin Slava, man. Thanks, Ronnie. I'm freaking out. Okay. Cheryl, you say, we or they could arrest, even though we're not in the International Criminal Court either. Yeah. Turkey's just letting everything through. And then it goes through Georgia and on to Russia. So I understand why they're in NATO. I understand. They're in NATO because it would be worse if they weren't in NATO. But, I guess keep your friends close and enemies closer. Oh boy. Yeah, don't even get me started about fucker Carlson in Moscow. I've avoided that topic today. Anyway, so I just want to talk about something good right now. After this live stream, I'm going to the gym. It opens up at 9 a.m., so that's an hour and a half from now. And I'm going to just blast my freaking lats. And I do about 60% body weight. But I'm going to work out for probably about 4 hours today because I still have the goal. I wanted to go back to the Legion this month. I wanted to go back to the Legion for my birthday, to be honest with you. And that has come and gone. And so now, okay. I'm wrapping up here. I want to share with you some good things. We talked about the coats. 31 of these coats who you can see here, they're being worn by I'm going slow. Don't worry. That's why I needed to go to a gym to work on it, because I need to be able to carefully regulate, at a 5 kilogram weights. Yeah, Cheryl, we talked about that yesterday about NATO with Sweden. Orban's digging himself a hole there. And Erdogan is digging himself a hole. Okay, Erdogan's digging himself a hole because the Turkish economy just keeps going down and down and down. Okay, it's like falling to pieces. Okay, if you want to find out about that, here, there's this nice little TLDR article. Yeah, you can watch that. be doing. Come on, basically. So economically, he's like, no, I don't care about standard economics rules. I have my own idea, and he's destroying his economy. So, anyway, all right. So I want to talk about some good things. Look, guys, you guys bought this. This is see that right there? That's floor cleaner and toilet cleaner. In this is the showers in the barracks for the International Legion. There you go. That's the second training barracks, not the big, not the first one, but yeah. So your stuff is in place. It's there. The coats are being worn. It's awesome, right? Everything's cool. So I have on the website, I just want to show this to you. I have had this, some of the very first things I put up on the website, which were ceramic plates and plate carriers. People haven't really been donating a lot to it because these are expensive items. Okay. Like ceramic plates usually run roughly $600 for the pair. Thanks, Ronnie. This is just a war. So these orders, like you guys place these orders and then I order them. Okay. So when you order toilet cleaner, when you order shower gel, when you order socks, I want to send those off as fast as possible. And I know I'm not as fast as I should be, but within a week or two, I want to send those off. Okay. But this has been sitting in some cases since like early December. This money has been sitting in my account. So I went to this guy, a friend of mine who makes this stuff, makes gear. And I said, hey, listen, can you help me find a good set of plates that I can buy for less than $200 for a pair of plates? And he sent me some links. So I'm going to buy one of these sets of plates, and I'm probably going to try to buy this one, 7,000 hryvnias for a pair of. Now this is level 4, and these are American made. Okay, plates, and that's normally impossible. I mean, it's very difficult to find good quality plates that you can guarantee. He sent me this link. He said, these are good. I'm going to go with it. I'm going to go with that. And I'm going to buy this plate carrier right here. And then I will either mail the plate carrier and the plates to the Legion, to these guys, or if I'm lucky enough, if I'm healthy enough to do, or I'll just take it with me to the Legion is what I'm saying. Depending on how soon these come in and where my recovery is at. So yeah. One of the things that the guys in the 1st Battalion are asking for is this. So this is a drone silencer backpack. So it's an anti-drone system that can be carried in a backpack. 4 big antennas. 290,000 hryvnias though. Ooh. Let's see how much that is. UAH to USD. So that's $7,000. $7,700. But I was asked to put it on the site, so I'm going to be doing that. And Greg, if you're still watching, you have anti-drone systems on your trucks, I think. So it's the same kind of a concept. These are what the guys are saying they need, So I'm going to update the site, put that up. And this, I'm hoping, I want to do that this weekend. If you want to buy the rain gear and secondhand military gear, I'm leaving, regardless it doesn't matter if I'm healthy enough to go back to the Legion or not. The end of next week, I'm leaving this part of Ukraine. I'm going to go back to my home in the middle of Ukraine. So I'm going to leave. I'm going to be leaving Transcarpathia or Zakarpattia. So once I do that, then this secondhand military gear won't be available anymore. So if you want to get in on helping with that, then now is the time. I'm going to go and make another purchase of gear on Sunday because that's the sale day essentially. And socks, what I'm trying to do with socks, these are made locally, and this is not really what the actual socks look like. These were what I was buying at the beginning, but now I've got a cheaper, better source of socks. And tell me I have it here. I know that I did okay. Let me go to my page. I know that I did a community post picturing the socks. Yeah, here we go. These socks here, they're green, they're wool socks. And you guys bought these. I sent them to the front line. They're being used by Alpha Company of the 1st Battalion. Yeah, 91 Trump cases, Catherine. Let's hope one of them sticks, man. Yeah, Ronnie, I have a plan for this about my link to Greg and everything. And I'm hopefully going to work on that this next week. Anyway, so these socks going out, and they're actively being worn. And so I'm hoping to get a regular supply of these socks. So even when I leave this part of Ukraine, I'll still have a good supply of wool socks to send. The region, Cherkasy Oblast. That's my actual home. So right smack in the middle of Ukraine, Catherine. So to answer your statement, Ronnie, about my website here, my purpose, my ultimate purpose here is once I have this looking decent, I know it looks like shit right now, but my ultimate purpose here is to create like an affiliate program so that other YouTube channels, other pro-Ukraine channels on any platform can provide a link, their own link to this site or a clone of this site, one that is targeted, again, to specific units. So in this case, it's the 4th Training Battalion and the 1st Alpha Company. But it could be, if you have another YouTube channel, maybe you want to support the 3rd Battalion or the 3rd Assault Brigade or whatever. You'll have a website where you can do that, and these things will be automatically ordered, automatically drop shipped. Obviously not by me. I'm going to call in help. I need Ukrainians to help me with this. They'll be paid. It'll work like part-time. And if you have a website or a platform that's supporting Ukraine, and you get this affiliate link, then you have the opportunity to get a percentage. Okay, like you get a percentage of I don't know, 2.5% or something like that. Yeah, Midas Touch. Midas Touch has really been great the past couple of months. So. Yeah. Okay. So that is ultimately my plan here. And I mean, yeah, I support all other forms of support for Ukraine. This is just my contribution. I wanted to come up with something different that other NGOs and charities are not doing. To a different channel, open up a different way for people to support Ukraine that they didn't already have, and that's what I'm trying to do here. So, yeah, I want to just, obviously, Paul, it's an option, but if that's what it takes to motivate people, great, fine. Take their 2.5% cut and support Ukraine with the rest. And support, specific units. I want people to be able to wake up in the morning and check their phone and look and see, look, there's the guys that we bought those coats for. Like they're supporting their local sports team. That's what that kind of interest and passion where they follow each and every one of these guys, even though they're wearing balaclavas. So you can't tell who they are, but we should have like baseball cards for these fighters that kids trade on the school playground. That's what I want. Okay. So people actually give a shit, and the great orange one can go screw himself. That's my plan. So, anyway, I want to thank everybody for coming. Thanks for sitting through this live stream. I know it wasn't the most exciting, but it was serious. And thank you all for your help. Thanks for being here. Slava Ukraine. До побачення, everybody.